My name is Elizabeth Gillis, President of the Residents Association. I want to welcome all new residents to the meeting. For many of you, today's meeting is the first RA membership meeting that you have attended. I move to approve the minutes of the membership meeting held on October 20th, 2025, which have been posted in the connections room. Is there a second? Thank you. Everyone in favor, please say aye. Thank you. Today's meeting will begin with the CEO's executive report, followed by the president's report, the vice president's report, the treasurer's report, the standing committee reports, and the NORCRA report, after which our meeting will conclude. It sounds like a lot, but it's not too bad. Most of you know that this Residents Association meeting is the last one for Anita as our CEO. Anita, thank you for all that you have done for the Forest at Duke. Your years of leadership, surviving the construction of 2 new buildings, and smiling most of the time will be missed. Anita, the podium is all yours.
Well, thank you, Elizabeth. I kind of live in a funny little world right now. Some days it's real that I'm leaving, and other days I'm absolutely not thinking that it's happening. So that means that I live in a constant state of confusion. But thank you for your kind words. I couldn't believe that I've actually been in North Carolina for 15 years, and I was only going to be here for 1. And that I'm actually approaching 12 years at the Forest. So that's pretty good for me. I do have some things to share with you. We'll start with happy stuff first. I was asked what the rankings were and how did they come about, and where can people find them to check to make sure that I'm not making up numbers. So it's the Newsweek survey, and you actually can go on the rankings.newsweek.com, and we'll have this in the minutes. And it's America's Best CCRCs, and then you pick your year. And for 24, 25, and 26. For 26, we are 14 in the United States, and there are 1,900 communities that are part of this survey, or at least that's the number of opportunities they have to survey. I don't know if they include everybody. And then we are number 2 in the state. And I always tease Kevin Schwab, who's the president and CEO of Givens, and it's like, well, you have a foundation in like a gazillion million acres of land. So, but we are in good company, and certainly in North Carolina, we are in particularly good company because you'd be hard pressed to find a community that does not provide good services to older adults in North Carolina. Of the 58 some not-for-profit CCRCs, it's a pretty close and collegial group. Actually, we can't have a meeting because we like each other so much that it's like herding cats to get us to settle down. But it also means that we share best practice, we share information, and we help each other in times of need. And so when the western part of the state blew up, the eastern part of the state was right there with supplies, people, and anything that was needed. And that is not something that happens in every state and in every industry. So very proud to have been a part of North Carolina's leading age. So that's exciting. And I want to tell you that the Leading Age Board is going to be meeting here on Thursday from 10 to 2. It's their quarterly meeting, and we are the host. And it's the first time we've hosted since we've completed construction. So I think the last time they were here, we were in construction and they ate in the auditorium. So I think we can do them one better this time. Other things that are going on, as you all know and are well aware, the CEO search is going on. I do know that they are down to 4 candidates. I do know that they're getting ready to do second interviews. I don't know the exact start date of that person. I expect that there will be some crossover, and if there isn't, I still hang around. I'm a phone call away for a bit. And, but I know that it's been a pretty in-depth process and will continue to be so. From the 4, they may come down to 2, or if somebody just blows it out of the water, they may come down to 1. It is a 10-person search committee, and they have been helped by DEFIT, and so we're continuing to make progress. It is my suspicion, but not my knowledge, that anyone who accepts a job, if they're working, they'll have to give at least 30 days' notice, and which is at the kind of de minimis if you're the CEO. And but we would expect people to be there, and obviously, if they have family and things, there's relocation, et cetera. The flip side of that is we have a strong leadership team, and so there shouldn't be anything that misses a beat. I'm not expecting there to be, and so I would encourage you not to worry. The process is going as it should, and more than likely won't have bumps in front of it, and we expect to see a CEO named in a reasonable amount of time and before I leave. And so let's talk. So I'm working down the list. So let's talk about what's hot these days. Let's talk about the pet policy. Let's start first. Nobody's being asked to get rid of their animals. All right. Every dog that is living here now is grandfathered in. Okay. So I don't want anybody to be worried. I am certainly not going up on the floors looking for puppies. And, you know, that's not where we are. But the reality is we live in a community of people. And some of us love our dogs like they're sitting at the table with us on Thanksgiving. Other folks don't feel that way about dogs. But we also, more importantly, we have people with vision issues, mobility issues, surprise issues, or people who may be afraid of pets or animals or dogs, etc. As someone who, I never went to one uncle's house because I used to be terrified of dogs. And so when we would drive an hour and a half to Uncle Bill's, I took a book and I stayed in the car because I was terrified. He had 3 dogs and they scared me to death. So I am sympathetic to someone who is not feeling comfortable. But I have a dog, and and he's crazy. He's my kind of crazy, and I love him. And so I understand kind of both sides of that. What we want to do is make sure that we respect all of the members in community. So our policy is asking that certainly that you keep your dogs on a leash. Obviously, that you clean up after your dogs, but you don't allow your dogs off leash. You don't allow them in restaurants, and that we have some behavior. You can't let dogs run free in enclosed areas. So I would just ask that we kind of exercise common sense for the safety of all, and but rest assured, nobody is being asked to get rid of their dog. Now, if your dog is a problem and a repeated problem and obedience training doesn't help, if that's what is necessary, it's always a process. There's nothing ever really at the forest is one and done. So it's always a process. But if it's something that can't be resolved, then that's a decision that you will make together with administration, et cetera. And so we'll be moving forward. But there's no expectation of dogs leaving or being taken away. We are putting a weight limit on future dogs, and we are asking that if your animal passes away or your pet passes away, excuse me, that if you choose to replace your pet, that you do so with one that fits the size guidelines and restrictions that we have, and there will be some breed restrictions. And that's not unusual. If you live in almost any apartment building or any communal space anywhere, there's usually an expectation of breeds allowed, sizes and limits, and numbers that are allowed. So if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to see me. I'll be glad to sit with you, and if there's something we got to talk about, we'll be glad to do that. Okay? And then the last thing that I want to talk about, I've heard all the rumblings, so let me just be clear. Leanne did not get demoted. And yes, Sarah did get promoted, and so did Emma Quick, but that has been part of a plan. We have always kept looking at our health center. We knew that when we opened it, it was going to take revisions and time, and you had to kind of settle out and evaluate and reevaluate, which we have continued to do. And then really looking at once we stabilized where we are, because keep in mind, we started designing the health center pre-COVID. We opened up just after. And in the middle of all of that, we got this lovely thing called Workforce Challenge. But we are committed to the small house model. That has not changed. But what we also did is took a deep dive. What was working? What wasn't? How are you going to affect change and what that looked like? We have done that for the better part of the past 8 months. That included talking to the people who live there, talking to family members, talking to all of the staff on every shift. That resulted in a reorganization and recognizing that for our small house to give everybody an opportunity to have equal amount of success and to have the experience work on behalf of residents, that we did need a dedicated person who was all things small house. And we say small house, you don't hear me say Eden, and you don't hear me say greenhouse, and you don't hear me say Pioneer Network. Those are all different kinds of small houses. And at the Forest, we did take various things from each of those because we already knew what our population was. We weren't starting from scratch, and neither was our staff. In the past few months, as I said, we did a lot of interviews, and that resulted in a reorganization. It had always been our intention to move Sarah forward to strategy and special projects. As I shared, she came into this organization knowing nothing about aging services. She did our home care agency up from scratch, and she did our early acceptance program up from scratch because that's the kind of mind that she has. She's a project director, project manager. She can pull parties together and does that without alienating any and creating the relationships that allow programs to survive. Both EAP and home care are very successful. She will take on the role and has taken on the role of strategy and special projects. And her first special project is as the Director of Small House Operations. That position will stay in place. She is getting it up and running. She's making sure the training is consistent, that all the systems are in place as we continue to evolve and revise. And she's actually training the folks who will be in position to be the next leader when she steps out of that. Leanne is responsible for all things that are the business of running a health center. That's QAPI, Quality Assurance Performance Improvement. That is the hiring, contracts, it's oversight of our clinical team, regulatory compliance for the 4 different agencies that have something to say about everything we do every day, and making sure that all those things tick and tie. She's working very closely with Sarah and Jen Key and the team in the health center are working. The household lead is making sure that there's that person. You don't really want to pull a nurse off of wound care to go find out why the door's stuck or to find the missing teeth, because they do walk, and a variety of other things, but to have someone who's point in each household that can make sure that everybody gets the information they need, that's part of the care team. And we also changed the communication strategy so the huddles at each shift are not just the clinical staff, but include everyone who's working in the household. So it's integrating the services, modifying the roles and responsibilities, and creating a very specific identity around what serves the resident and the resident experience. So it's always going to be a work in progress. Done is never done in the healthcare business, but we are very confident and very comfortable that we've done the work to inform our activities and to perform and to initiate and implement the changes that we see move us forward to the next step. So, but it's never done. In 40 years, I've never known it to be done. But I am very pleased with the work that was done, not only with our leadership team, but our key contributors, as well as all the health center staff. And that is where we are moving with that. And I don't believe that I have anything else to add except to say, and I know I'll get to say it many other times, but right here, this is my last, I didn't know, resident association meeting. And I do want to thank you. I love it that the room is full. I love it that we have a resident base that is interested in coming to hear and to see and to say whatever needs to be said. So thank you. This has been absolutely the best job of my career. Thank you.
Thank you, and we really will miss you, no joke. And I forgot about COVID when I said you survived all those things. How could I have forgotten about COVID? But anyway, totally out of my brain anymore, so. I want to thank Jim Friedman, past president of the Residents Association, for his leadership and most importantly, for introducing the great name tags that we are all wearing. With so many new residents, the name tags are particularly helpful to all of us. And the other thing to remind people is, please put your bios on Cubigo if you haven't done so, and that IT and community life continue to have sessions to help residents do that. So if you haven't done it yet, take time to do it. It's worth it. So today, I want to talk about the Residents Association, which we often abbreviate by calling it the RA. The RA has been in existence for 30 years. The Articles of Incorporation of the Forest at Duke Residents Association, Inc., were filed May 1, 1996. A long time ago. Quote, the RA provides a structure through which Forest at Duke residents can come together to support their interests and well-being, end quote. The RA board does not make operational, financial, or managerial decisions for the Forest at Duke. Those issues are managed by the Forest at Duke board. Our role is advisory. The structure of the RA board mirrors the Forest at Duke management structure in order to help residents' concerns reach the correct leaders quickly and effectively. For example, Activities Committee works with community life to plan interesting activities for our residents. The Dining Committee works with senior dining staff and our chefs to discuss pertinent issues about dining. The executive board of the RA consists of the president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. There are 10 standing committees, each of which has a director. And you will hear from each of them today. The president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer are each elected for 2 years, for 2-year terms, and each may serve another 2-year term. Each director is elected for 3-year terms, and they may choose to serve another 3-year term. The elections are staggered, so there is continuity in each position. For example, in 2025, both the president and vice president positions were up for election, which means Rose Mills, our vice president, and I will fill those positions for 2 years. Several of the standing committees have subcommittees which you possibly have heard of. Currently, Activities has 6 subcommittees. Sometimes these change. They go away because they're no longer pertinent, and new committees, new subcommittees are born with new ideas. A resident may attend a committee meeting with permission of the chair of that committee. Remember that our committees are advisory only. We do not make policy regarding the Forest at Duke. I want to say one more thing about not the RA, but our wonderful staff who took such good care of us in the 2 weekends of the bad weather that we had. Many staff stayed at the forest instead of going to their own homes, and I'm talking senior staff like Anita and Sarah, all kinds of other, Nathan, and worked to provide us with all the things we are used to having, such as food and daily entertainment. As I wrote several months ago in an article in The Forester, it took me a while, I will say a couple of years, to really understand the importance of the Residents Association and what it does. The RA works to serve every resident, to help each of us enjoy where we live, and to provide communication with the Forest at Duke staff on issues that we feel are important. We are here for all of you. Thank you. And now, Rose Mills, where are you, Rose? Our Vice President will give her report.
Hello, I'm Rose Mills, newly elected Vice President of the Residents Association. My duties include supporting our president by attending meetings and assisting in whatever way I can. I had thought that being vice president was something like being a vice principal, but apparently my position does not include being able to take disciplinary action like confiscating cell phones if they go off during a meeting. Just kidding, sort of. My job also includes special projects. My first assignment, excuse me, was to revise the document that all new residents got in their welcome packets, the frequently asked questions. This is very much a living document that needs to be updated, and I intend to do that regularly. You can find the latest version of the FAQs, as we call it, on Cubico and the RA website. I think it's useful for both the new residents and for those of you who have been here for a while. My next project was to organize the organizational chart of the Residents Association, which, if you will click the slide, there it is. So shown here, it will be posted in the connections room. Excuse me. While the 10 standing committees have remained the same, the activities have changed. The subcommittees have changed somewhat. And as you can see, there's a wide range of activities at the forest, and we welcome and encourage your involvement. That said, several of the committee chairs have expressed interest in adding additional members who reside at the terraces specifically, as they'd like to have greater representation of residents across the campus. I'll be sending out a survey to the terrace residents to see if anyone is interested in joining one of the standing committees. As Elizabeth said, you'll be hearing from the chairs of all the committees. You'll get a better idea and feel for what the committees do. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Andre Allen. I'm your treasurer. And I thought I would do something different this time. Instead of putting a table on the screen with a lot of data that hardly anybody can see, because there's a lot of new people, I would give you an overview of the workings of our budget. And then you can always go and see the data actually in the connections room. It's posted on the corkboard as the financial statement every month. So you can see whatever you want. I'll be talking as well about the Employee Appreciation Fund. So first, the budget. So we have two sources of revenue. The first one is the Resident Association annual dues of $10 per person, which are billed automatically to you in January. This year, at the time of billing, there were 468 residents in-house, and so we collected $680. Now, that's not enough to cover our expenses. So rather than increase the annual dues, we sell the pictorial directory for revenue to the residents, to early acceptance, and to the administration. And this year, we collected $9,800. The big item in our expenses is the forester, which is so dear to our residents. So many have collected them from the beginning. The other items that are covered in the budget include the maintenance of the Resident Association website and occasional administrative costs and projects, one project or another at various times, like there has been more recently the pollinator garden and then the name tags. At any rate, now I'll go back to the forester. There had been a steep increase in the cost of the printing over the past several years, to the point where it came up to like $4,800 roughly. And so because of this, the much less expensive digital version of the Forester was put in place back in April 2025, which cut down the number of printed copies and the cost, so to around $1,800 a year. So between the decrease in cost of the Forester and the increase in the price of the pictorial directory, we ended up with quite a surplus. For example, our checkbook balance at the end of January was roughly around $27,000 compared to our usual balance of around $14,000 in the past year or so. So what can we do with that surplus? It can be used for projects, and I would think that it would lead to a decrease in the price of the pictorial directory, the following year. Now I'll talk to you a little bit about the Employee Appreciation Fund, and I know that I have to watch the time here. So I'm the campaign manager for the Employee Appreciation Fund, and we raise money twice a year in November and in May to provide awards to the staff. Remember, we don't have any tipping. And basically that money comes in just in time for holiday celebrations and summer vacation. And in this economy, it helps to pay the bills too. And the staff are really very appreciative. I get goosebumps when I think about some of the things that people have told me about how well they feel loved by this award. So to give you a little bit of numbers here, our last fundraiser ending in December 2025, we raised over $153,000. And we had roughly 92% participation in independent living residents, which is great. And I'm not counting the terraces because people were moving in, so the participation there was a little less. But I expect it'll be more in May. And the health center participation has decreased, but overall, it was really it was great. It was the highest that we raised, and I thank you all for making that possible. I just want to tell you that the average award for a full-time employee is $606, and the awards are the award amounts are calculated according to the length of time worked, how many years, and the hours worked, the hours worked in the past 6 months. And the average donation by household for 6 months was $550. So our next campaign will be in May, and I ask you to please continue to give generously. And I also want to remind you that this is our only, and I repeat, our only resident association fund drive. There has been some confusion because the Forest at Duke also has several fund drives. This is our only fund drive. So, to end, I'd like to thank Ken Barrett, our former treasurer, who's my mentor and helping me with Excel. I'm a retired psychiatrist, so I didn't know anything about Excel. I thank Judy Vick, Irving Abrams, Richard Ellman, because they are the essential team of the pictorial directory. I just take orders. And I thank you to Dave Sloan, who's the business arm of the Forester. And I also want to thank the accounting department, Dave Smith and Keisha Charles, who are helping me with the Employee Appreciation Fund and the annual dues. And thank you all for your attention.
Hello, I'm Linda Carlson, and I'm Chair of the Activities Committee. The activities closer to the light. You can't hear me without a mic? Okay. I'm Linda Carlson, and I'm Chair of the Activities Committee, and we've got a great job. Our job is working with community life to plan monthly activities which are very interesting and fun. We really like doing fun ones. We have 6 subcommittees. The first is the Forest, Life at the Forest, which is chaired by Susan Smith. And they have programs literally taking you through all parts of the forest twice a year. And the next one will be this spring. And for all terrace residents, it really is an important event to go to. And for old timers, things have changed over the time since we've done them. Resident Readers, which is chaired by Carolyn Cohn Weaver, meets weekly, and people read all kinds of things they write, things they have read, whatever they like, and it's really a good activity. The book discussion group, chaired by Mary Dubard, at the last meeting had 28 members. If you look online, you'll see that the readings for the year are posted, and they choose the book every June. The celebrations committee is interesting. The job is to come up with ideas, sometimes fairly crazy, for the staff of community life to implement. For instance, you saw those bowls of Valentine's candies, and guess how many were in there? That's an idea of the celebrations committee. They've also come up with the idea that community life is going to be implementing. We're going to have a garden tour this spring. Mix and Mingle tries to mix us up, people who are old timers, terrace residents, newcomers, and there are newcomers coming in. And that is chaired by Norma Gindis, and she has a very set of activities planned. And then the newest one is the Triangle Thinkers and Doers. As you know, we've had 2 standing room only lectures so far. There'll be another one coming up dealing with Medicare in March. And then after that, we have a surprise. I'm not telling you what the surprise is. We've got lots of interesting things that have been going on in addition to lectures. We work extensively with Emma Quick and her group, and have consistently seen an increase in Cubico over the time. We will continue. You can't hear me again? I'm not that short. Okay, I've lost my way. We're going to continue to plan activities that are interesting and popular. If you have ideas, let me know. Let any of the subcommittee chairs know. And in addition, we'd love for anybody to sit in on our meetings. Just let me know. Our meetings are held by Zoom. And we were one of those committees that are looking for new members. Thank you.
My name is Sanford Berg, and I'm chair of the caucus committee. The Residents Association has 21 caucuses or neighborhoods. And if you try to find the locations of them, do not use ChatGPT and enter caucuses, because you'll get Armenia, Russia, Georgia, and Turkmenistan. But if you talk to your caucus leader, they can show you a map of the caucuses. We meet monthly, and we share issues about and concerns and experiences with one another. And I think especially having the 4 new terraces represented has been a real jump start for the group, because they have brought new energy, new ideas, and also new questions to the group. We meet with Sharon Pitt, the chief operating officer here at TFAD, and she provides us with updates and answers questions. And then we usually have an invited speaker on various topics. The first, back in November, we heard from Catherine Coleman, just 2 months after she had become the dining services general manager. And she talked about the issues of recruitment, retention of trained staff, and the issues with menus, et cetera. And of course, the dining committee spends all year on that, but the caucus leaders can be informed so that they can be helpful to all the residents. In December, we did brainstorming. We broke into small groups, and we wanted to especially introduce the New Terraces people to how to organize meetings, how to have fun times together. And it was just a very good brainstorming. We also talked about challenges as caucus leaders. We can't solve people's problems, but we can help direct them to resources and managerial people who might be able to. We also try to keep our people, our neighbors, informed, often using emails or handouts. In January, we had Charles Hewins, the security and transportation manager, talk to us about what was new in transportation and security. And he talked about acquiring new vehicles. We have now a second wheelchair van. He also talked about security issues, noting that each terrace apartment does have part of the, what issue? Speakers for each apartment that can be utilized in emergencies. These also are in the health center, and he's exploring ways of getting these established in community center apartments as well. He also encouraged everyone to wear our pendants, which are a pain at times, but it's good for safety. Last week, Sarah Haney described her new role as Director of Small House Operations at the Cone Health Center, and Anita really reviewed that, so I don't need to talk more about what she shared with us, just that she brought real energy, enthusiasm, and really compassion to it, and it was very, very useful to hear directly from her what was being planned. Then resident Brenda Featherstone, raise your hand, Brenda, thank you, did summarize the Staying Connected program, which helps people from independent living go over to the health center and meet with friends or people they may not know to play a game with, just to have conversations with. And so that was very helpful. Currently, over 50 residents are in this program that Brenda has helped. And if you're interested, don't let her get out of the room until you've said hello to her. For any details, I really recommend that you read the material that is in the communications or in the connections room. Every one of the committees has a folder. Every committee has our monthly minutes or highlights, and pick a topic, pick a field, and just look at it so that you're prepared at some point to join the committee, and at some point further on, sit up here and have to summarize everything in 3 minutes. So I think your caucus leaders deserve a round of applause. So if they would stand up, please, caucus leaders, come on. There they are. Good. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Jeff Collins. I chair the Dining Services Committee, the function of which is really to serve as a liaison between the residents and the administration at the Forest to ensure the best possible dining experience for residents. That includes everything from quality and variety and healthiness of the meal served to the ambiance of the various dining venues. As you can imagine, there have been extensive developments in the dining area since the last general membership meeting in October, primarily with the opening of the terraces and new residents coming on board. So what I'd like to do is highlight many of these developments in the dining area. For some of the longer-term residents, you may be familiar with much of this, but probably not all of it. But for the new resident, I want to make sure everybody is on the same page going forward. So one of the things that happened with the opening of the terraces was the opening of 2 new dining venues. First, the bistro in the terraces itself. And with the new sous chef who's going to be running the bistro, now on board and fully operating. And if you haven't met her, her name is Valeria, although she goes by V. This now has allowed the bistro to start serving dinner a 3rd night each week. It was Monday and Tuesday. Now it's serving Monday through Wednesday. It is hoped that before too long, we can probably add a 3rd night dinner, which will most likely be Thursday. As you've noted, there's a theme to the menu each week, and the menu changes each week in the bistro. The bistro has also started serving brunch on Sundays. If you haven't tried it, I highly recommend it. It's really quite nice, and it alleviates some of the congestion in Heartwood for Sunday brunch. The other venue that opened with the opening of the terraces was Greenwoods, and Greenwoods serves dinner 3 nights a week from Wednesday through Saturday. For Greenwoods, reservations are required and can be made up to 2 weeks in advance. Menus are changing monthly in Greenwoods, and the new menus will come out the week before. So the new menu for March should be released both on Cubigo and in hard copy the last week in February. The menu options in Greenwoods are set, so there's a number of choices for entrees, but they all come with fixed sides, and the intent is not to make changes. So when you order it, you're ordering the complete meal. Then the other venues that were already open before the opening of the terraces, there have been some developments on those as well. In Rosewood, as with Greenwoods, Rosewood is by reservation only, and again, reservations can be made up to 2 weeks in advance. This has not been decided, but it's under strong consideration, the possibility of making a major overhaul in the Rosewood menu such that it would be completely distinct from what's being served in Heartwood. Currently, it very much reflects Heartwood's menu with some additional special items that you can only get in Rosewood. Plus, you've got 2 nights a week, a special Rosewood dinner, and that's on the weekly menu, so you know in advance. But there is under consideration, as I said, making Rosewood a completely distinct. And one of the objectives of the management for dining services at the Forest is to have each venue be distinct from the other, so you really have as much variety and choices as possible. With respect to Heartwood, again, something that hasn't absolutely been decided but is under strong consideration is an attempt to alleviate the congestion and backup that sometimes develops at the checkout station in Heartwood. And one approach that's under strong consideration is to set up a new checkout station probably near the entrance to Heartwood that would be strictly for residents who are taking out food. So it's a way of shuttling off some of the folks that would not have to wait at the main checkout station. But that hopefully that will be implemented before long. With Taproot, menus are modified in Taproot on a quarterly basis. It's not a complete change, but it's tweaked and very much reflects the input that's received from residents. So if you eat in Taproot and like bar food and there's certain things you like or certain things you'd like to see changed on the menu, do provide that input because management has been very receptive in the tweaking of the Taproot menu. As was mentioned by one of the previous speakers, a new general manager of dining services came on board late last year, Catherine Coleman. The intent was to assist Nathan Summers, who has a lot on his plate and his role, with Catherine focusing strictly on dining management. So this has been a big help. Catherine was initially focused on getting the bistro up and running. Now that we have V on board, who will really be running the bistro on a day-to-day basis, Catherine can refocus her attention, as was originally planned, primarily on Rosewood and Greenwoods to get those operations going as smoothly as possible. And it is hoped that Catherine will start writing a brief column that will appear weekly in the Forest Forward, highlighting dining-related issues, changes, et cetera. And we're hoping to have that put in place very soon. And then lastly, I wanted to make everybody aware that new procedures are in the process of being instituted for standardizing catering requests. And a form is going to be generated that will have a set menu of the common catering request, and that will be distributed and utilized. But for the time being, any catering requests that involve pizza should not be made, and I say it should not be made directly to Kenny, and for cake requests or other patron requests should not be made directly to Candace, but should go through Jeffrey Terrain, the dining supervisor in Hartwood. But once we have this new system in place, this system will be utilized. In terms of catering requests for cakes and pastries for Candace, Candace needs 2 weeks in advance notice for, especially for cake requests, whereas Kenny only requires 2 days in advance for pizza requests. And then lastly, I encourage all of you to send your input into the Dining Services Committee. You can do that either, and I recommend through Cubigo, it gets the quickest and the broadest distribution. But if you want to send me direct emails, that's fine as well. The monthly committee meetings very much focus on people's concerns and complaints, but with the recognition that I get way more compliments than complaints, which is nice. And I think it's very much a reflection of the two superb executive chefs that we have, Daryl De La Cruz and Carl Ladd, who do a terrific job. And we certainly gave them accolades at the last meeting last week for the yeoman service that the dining staff did during the recent winter storms. So thank you.
I have to lower this. I'm Mike Bracey, Chair of the of the Finance Committee. Committee, I think, that plays an important role in the Residents Association, but it has no authority. Any authority in that area resides in the big board and the Finance Committee. But the members are assigned and encouraged to gain a deep understanding of of our financial results, liquidity, and all our accounting. They include CPAs. We have retired business school professors, retired business school dean, other people who've had a strong history in business, and they truly understand what goes on. Our meetings are conducted by Karen Henry, who our CFO, and and this this last quarter, because our fiscal date is September 30th, we had an extensive review of our financial results for 2025, and the fact that our external auditors have reviewed and given, again, a clean opinion for our finances. This coming week, we'll look at our, excuse me. Yeah, well, no, that's okay. It'll include our new, our disclosure statement, which each year resides in the library. Probably not many of you have read it, but I'd encourage it very much. So beyond that, that is the responsibility of the Finance Committee. I believe that the fact that these people, our committee understands and reviews all elements of our finance should give a great deal of comfort to the residents of the forest. So thank you.
I'm Dave Sloan, Chair of the General Services Committee. Our function is to maintain close liaison with TFAD's General Services Department to assure quality service in the areas of grounds and landscaping, buildings, housekeeping, and security and transportation. We meet monthly with Nathan Summers, Director of that department, to hear the latest news and to provide recommendations. We have subcommittees for Community Garden Beds, headed by Jay Williams, the Rose Garden, Sue Staples, the Wood Shop, Mary Kay Craft, other garden areas around campus, Robin Sloan, and the greenhouse, for which we're looking for a leader. Each of those will have a table at the March 20 Residents Organization Fair. We had November and December off, but met in January and February. The three most notable achievements: the Wood Shop subcommittee has been re-energized. This is now headed by Mary Kay Craft. Phil Bear facilitated a well-attended meeting on how to move forward with the green team in the pollinator garden. We've been pressing on recycling in the terraces, and I hope to be able to say that it's now begun, but we're still waiting on the placement of recycling bins in the 2 second-floor trash rooms. Reports of our meetings are posted in hard copy in a notebook in the connections room and online on both Cubigo and the RA website. You can keep apprised each month by checking one of those postings. Feel free to raise any issues you have with any member of the committee. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Walton Smith. I'm the chair of the Governance Committee. I've been that chair and been a member of the Governance Committee since November. So I don't know particularly much about what it does, except what we've done in the last couple of months. According to the bylaws of the Residents Association, the Governance Committee reviews all issues affecting the governance functions of the association, including nominations, elections, and bylaws. The duties and responsibilities of the committee are to meet when needed to recommend amendments to the association's bylaws, revisions to the duties, responsibilities of the association's officers and standing committees, and changes in the association's policies and procedures. The committee has general oversight responsibility for the association's nominations and elections. You can see from that that most of its functions are internal to the Residents Association itself. Since November, the committee has responded to questions relating to the assignment of duties and responsibilities to various committees. I encourage any resident who is interested in these matters to contact me with regard to the committee. Thank you.
Running a little late, and I'll try to be very brief. I'm Dan Blazer, our chair of the Health Committee, and we are just feeling a godsend with the appointment of Sarah Haney as the temporary Small House Director of Operations. But she's going to do that, she says, promised me for a year. And so having her full-time working on this project is going to be really helpful to us. A number of new roles are being developed, but I'm just going to mention how that might directly affect residents and their families and friends. In terms of Sarah herself, the fact that she's there gives us a chance to upgrade mentoring and support of a staff, which I think in this situation is very critical. At the household level, there will be a key person appointed for each small house, and that individual really will be the point person to whom any family member or resident can go to and ask about anything. And so we see these as really very positive steps. Of course, the proof is going to be in the pudding, and it's going to take some time, but I think we hopefully are going to see some significant positive changes in the health center within a year. Thank you.
As they said, we'll try to be quick. My name is Charles Christian. I'm chair of the Information Technology Committee. Our job is to serve as the liaison between the residents and the IT department of the forest, and we meet monthly with the head of the IT committee. Our own committee has members from various other committee, residents committees, so we get input from an awful lot of people. One of the things that we did do is that with the change of the Forester to a digital format, we found that some residents are not able to easily read the Forester on small screens. Therefore, we put in a large 27-inch computer in the library that is principally to be able to read the Forester. That you can turn the computer on, go to the Forester, and be able to read it. There's a link on there that, quite honestly, it'll read it to you if you have to. There's a link to the Cubigo and to the Resident Association website, but if you desire to use that, you'll have to use your own sign-in credentials, and we did that for security purposes. The other thing is that we do have several members who have volunteered their services. If you have minor IT problems, we'll be glad to help you. We're not going to make up your passwords, and we're not going to work. We generally refer you to Spectrum for those types of problems that you have. There are fewer printed copies, and as we said, there are of the Forester, but they do have some available. But Dave has done a great job in being able to bring it more or less into the digital age. The other person we have on our committee is Brenda Featherstone from the Health Committee, and we have been trying in as much as we can to digitally get information from the Health Committee residents out to the rest of us, because participation and communication, as a physician, I can tell you that isolation in the Health Committee it's a problem. It encourages dementia. People there want outside help, so I would encourage you very much to participate in that. We're trying to do that, but the problem there is that we have to also respect the privacy of the communications themselves. We're going to have a table at the fair to work with the website. We're trying to simplify the website and to change some of the stuff, some of the material that's on it. And we would like to get a couple of directors or webmasters to give Erwin, who has done a great job, a little bit of help. So come by and see us and we'll talk.
Good afternoon. I'm Ellen Barrett, and I am chair of the Marketing Committee. The Marketing Committee supports the sales and marketing team by offering feedback, generating new ideas, and actively assisting with initiatives that help recruit prospective residents to the Forest at Duke. We also oversee the mentor program for new residents. I want to begin by first recognizing the Marketing Committee members for successfully implementing the Welcome Plan for the new Terrace residents. We're equally proud of the terrace residents themselves, who have embraced all that the forest offers. By mid-December, each terrace floor had volunteer caucus leaders or co-leaders, which was really our goal, to get each of the floors to become an active caucus. Now, welcoming new residents also includes our mentor program. In 2025, all terrace residents, as well as the 25 new residents in the main building and cottages, were assigned mentors to help them integrate into the community. Now for 2 new initiatives for 2026. First, the mentor program. Chaired by Rosemarie Kitchen, the program is currently under review. A survey of new residents generated 55 responses with generally positive feedback. Suggestions, such as increasing familiarity with eating in the Heartwood, are being incorporated into mentor training and welcome materials. A full report on the survey is available on Cubigo and under the committee cube on Cubigo, and a hard copy is also in the marketing notebook in the connections room. Since January 1st, we've welcomed 9 new residents to the Forest at Duke with mentors assigned. The second initiative, which is chaired by Ellen Miller, is focusing on individual and group tours. The committee will now provide 2 volunteers for each of the 24 semi-monthly group tours. Last year, over 600 prospective residents attended these sessions. Marketing committee members will volunteer as resident guides about 5 times a year. Part of being on the marketing committee now means that you will participate in the resident guide program. We're also developing, excuse me, a prospective resident frequently asked question document to support both resident guides and prospective residents. These tours generate many leads for the forest and are a very vital part of our recruitment efforts. Lastly, the occupancy report, effective February 9th, 2026. We have 304 independent living residences now that we have combined the terraces with the existing residences on campus. 286 of those are occupied, that means 94%. 11 are reserved, that means 98% are totally committed, and we have 7 currently vacant and that are being marketed through the wait list, 2 in the terraces and 5 in the main building. So thank you for your continued interest and support.
Okay, last but not least, I'm Alice Alexander, and I'm Chair of Resident Services, and I'm happy to be here. Resident Services oversees many of the services that enrich our lives at the forest. These programs are resident-led and made possible by the dedication of our resident volunteers. Each week, we enjoy a new arrangement of flowers in the lobby supplied by volunteers. Sign up in Connections Room to share your creative flower arrangement. We thank Sue Staples for managing this program. The library continues to be a prime location for quiet connection, solace, learning, and collaborative puzzling. Our Diane Strauss, our librarian, encourages folks to give suggestions for acquisitions or any other ideas in a suggestion box that is posted in the library. And as Charles mentioned, this winter, the Residents Association set up a dedicated computer in the library to enable residents access to the Forester Magazine, Cubico, and the RA website. Next to the library is our gift shop, which reopened in 2026 with new resident co-managers, Deb Johnson and Paul Phillips. They are gently expanding retail items and hours and implementing an electronic system that allows credit card purchases. And remember, all sale proceeds go to the Benevolent Fund. The resident display case is for getting to know our neighbors by showcasing the interests of various residents. If you haven't already seen, please visit the February display of Carol Labar's Whimsical Creatures. If you have items for the display case, contact curator Robin Sloan. The Forester magazine, as previously mentioned, has gone primarily digital, enabling us to publish longer stories and more pictures, and we do love our pictures. And thank you to IT, as mentioned, for enabling an audio version of the Forester and showtimes on 1390. The Forester is also now available on Cubico, including a PDF and printable version. A limited supply of printed versions are available to health center residents and in the library magazine section. The pictorial directory is another valuable resource that fosters community connections, and it's popular. The 2026 directory, delivered in early January, saw almost 85% of independent living households purchasing a copy. The Encore store continues to be a strong success and appreciated resource for donating furniture and household goods. We thank Kathleen Allen and her great team for managing this program. While the downstairs store was unavailable most of last year during construction, the Encore store team arranged for sales in vacant apartments, and most recently a pop-up sale in the auditorium hallway, which was a lot of fun. In 2025, we provided over $14,000 in sales to TFAD Finance for the Benevolent Fund. We invite you to get involved in these programs, and I'm happy to talk to any of you. Many thanks.
For those of you who are newcomers to the forest, first of all, can you hear me? Okay. Who are newcomers to the forest, I just need to begin by introducing the term NORCRA. It stands for the North Carolina Continuing Care Residents Association. That's a statewide organization that advocates for strong laws and regulations that protect the well-being of all the residents in CCRCs in North Carolina. It also gives us an opportunity to share best practices among our CCRCs as we visit them and get together. It also provides opportunity for the exchange of ideas and our concerns about anything we feel is not quite right in the state of North Carolina in regard to CCRCs. Across the state, there are 42 communities like ours that are members. They include more than 3,500 residents like us, including 240 currently from the Forest at Duke. Each year, NORCRA holds a statewide annual meeting. This past fall, it was at Croasdale, and they hold a regional meeting in the spring. We are part of the Eastern region of NORCRA. It also publishes a quarterly newsletter called The Hotline, which is sent to all members of the association. This year, the Eastern Region meeting is at Galloway Ridge in Farrington on Tuesday, April the 14th. The March hotline will have information about the agenda for that meeting and also a registration form for those who wish to attend. But because there is some concern about the availability of space for those who are coming, Galloway Ridge has agreed to hold spaces for a CCRC if it requests them earlier than the hotline comes out next month. The program at the Galloway Ridge is going to focus on the issues facing CCRCs in providing health care. And I have put a copy in the connections room of the information about the two speakers who will be talking at that meeting at Galloway Ridge. If you look at that and you know that you think you're interested in going, if you'll let me know, I will ask that Galloway Ridge hold a certain number of spaces for us even before the hotline comes out. But when the hotline comes out, the registration forms will be available to anyone who's interested in going. The Forest has traditionally provided transportation to the meetings of NORCRA, and I've asked them if they will do that again. Makes it very simple to get on the bus here, get off the bus at Galloway Ridge, and have about 6 hours with members, residents of other CCRCs like ours. Thank you.
So, Margaret, how about if you tell just quickly how people could join NORCRA as members, because we can all do it for a lifetime or for a year, or an annual fee. You don't, yeah, please.
Question of membership is one which the Forest also has made very easy for us over all the years. And that is, we conduct an October membership drive, and everybody will be getting in before that drive. All of you who are newcomers to the Forest will be getting a brochure telling you more about the organization. But then in October or the early part of November, everyone will receive in their internal mailboxes a registration form and information about when that form has to be filled out and returned in order for you to join and become a member of NORCRA. And I hope, with as many newcomers as we have now, that next year we'll have a lot more than 240 members of NORCRA. Thank you.
Do we have any other business? Other than to say the end is here. If there is no other business, I say this meeting is adjourned.
And thank you all.